Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sumukascha Yekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketurganadhyakshaha Palachandro Gajananaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Herambaha Skandapurvajaha Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Sativarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannapadanam Dhyaye Sarva Vignopashantaye Yasyadviradavakradhya Parishadhya Parastatam Vignam Vignanti Satatam Vishvaksenam Tamasraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. With Bhagavan's grace, let us continue. We came up to Slokam number 6. Before that, let's also do the other prayer slokams. Sachidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Akushtakarine Namo Vedanta Vedhyaya Gurave Buddhisakshine Krishnadvaipayanam Vyasam Sarvabhuta Hiteratam Vedabcha Bhaskaram Vande Samadhi Nilayam Munim Sahasramurtehe Purushottamasya Sahasranetrarana Padabahoho Sahasranamnam Stavanam Pratastham Niruchyate Janmajaradishantyai. Swayambhu Sambhuradityah Pushkaraksho Mahasvanaha Anadi Nidhano Dhata Vidhata Dhaturuttamaha. We came up to that point. Swayambhu Sambhuraditya Pushkaraksho Mahasvanaha Anadinidhano Dhata Vidhata Dhaturuttamaha Aprameyo Rishiketa Padmanabho Amara Prabhu Visvakarma Manuspashta Savishta Saviro Dhruvaha. Actually, we finished that also. So next one, number 7. Agrakyasa Sada Krishno Lohitaksha Pratardanaha Prabhu Tastrika Kudhrama Pavitram Mangalam Param. Agrakyasa Sada Krishno Lohitaksha Pratardanaha Prabhu Tastrika Kudhrama Pavitram Mangalam Param. Agrafyaha, we finished that. One is beyond the ability of the senses to grasp. We cannot see him through our senses. And Shasvataha. Shasvataha means who is always there without any change in all parts of time. All aspects of time, eternal, and not only that, in all places. He is present everywhere. So he is the only Sasvatam in this ever-changing world is Bhagavan. It is not our friends, it's not our family, it is not the wealth we have, the position we have gained, whatever it is, none of them is permanent. None of them will always be there. But Sasvataha Bhagavan, Swami is there all the time in all places. And you will see on a personal basis, this appeals to, this applies to our consciousness, our conscience, and our awareness, and the prompt of love that is present within us. It is there all the time in all places. Parasara Bhattar says, because Bhagavan is continuously involved in creation, protection, and dissolution, and it's like a continuous flood, never stopping. Because of that, he is the one who does not have any rest. Sasvataha is approaching it from that angle. Bhagavan is continuously engaged. Aghrahyasasvadat Krishnaha. Now Krishna Sachidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Aklishtakarine. Right? We say that. So Shankara Bhagavad Badal says Krishna is the one who is always in the form of Sat Chit Anandam, Sachidanandam. If you can give it a form, Sat to truth, if you can give a form to Chit, the ever-present Jnanam, and give a form to Anandam, Sachit Anandam, that is Bhagavan, that is Krishna. Krishna also means one who is dark in color, like it's a pitch dark, it's almost like black, but it is extremely dark blue that looks like black. That is Krishna. Now, Parasara Bhattar says, Krishna also means what is happening, why forming all this Leela, you call this Maya, you call this Leela, but what is exactly happening here? What is it that's happening? There is, in spite of all the sadness, the misery, the difficulties we go through, it is an undeniable fact in each one of our personal life that there is an element of happiness that is joining all this. When you're sad, it's always followed by a moment of happiness, isn't it? The fact it is temporary is because we derive happiness out of temporary things. That's why they're temporary. But this Bhagavan, what he does by creating this whole Leela and Maya, is always immersed in this essence of bliss. That is also another meaning for Krishna that is given. Now, what Bhagavan himself gives the meaning of Krishna. We saw the meaning of as experienced by Shankara Bhagavad Bhattar as well as Parasara Bhattar we saw. Now, what does Bhagavan himself says about the name Krishna? Because it is such an important name, Krishna, and we have covered this in our Bhagavad Gita classes a while ago. So let me repeat it for those of you who have not attended that or who may not remember. So Krishna is as the Krishyati iti Krishna. Karishyati iti Krishna. Kushyati iti Krishna. So there are three aspects that is taking place all the time within what we call the indweller. Within each one of us, these are the three aspects of Bhagavan that is always present. Krishyati, Karishyati, and Kushyati. Krishyati. Krishyati, Akarshnam, we say, right? That means some attraction. Karshyati, that is there is an attractive element in each one of us as well as in things outside. Because we have the attractive element, the aspect that is present all the time within us, the outside world attracts us. It's not like we are getting attracted to different things in the outside world. It's a reflection of the element of attraction, the essence of attraction that is present within us. So, Krishyati iti Krishna. That aspect, that attracting aspect, the essence is Krishna. Karishyati iti Krishna. Karishyati, the acting, the aptitude, the impulse, that inescapable pull and push for us to continuously act and act and act. Doesn't matter what action that we do, but we're always acting. That Karishyati, that element, that aspect is Krishna. Karishyati iti Krishna. Then Kushyati iti Krishna. If you sit back and just think and enjoy what is happening for a second, you will find that whatever that prompts me to act and I keep on acting, the only reason is because I seek happiness. We are all seeking permanent happiness only. And that is what is attracting us. That is the Karshyati aspect. In order to get that, we do the karishyati. And when we achieve it, we do kushyati, which is become happy. Now, the attracting it, if we go after the created things, the attracting objects, the materialistic object, they're all temporary. Therefore, we don't get permanent happiness. But we get temporary happiness. But if we go for the attracting essence in things, the attractor, then we get permanent happiness. All the three aspects within each one of us is Krishna. Kashyati iti Krishna, Karishyati iti Krishna, Kushyati iti Krishna. Aprameyo Rishikesa. No, that's not the one. Agrakyastasada Krishno Lohitaksha Pratardanaha. Lohitakshaha. Lohitakshaha Akshaha. Lohita Akshaha. That means, crudely translated, it is red-eyed. Eyes are red. But they are not red like a bloodshot person who is drunk, for example. It's not like that. Please understand that Lohita Akshaha. This is the redness that you see in a newborn child, in the palm and the hand, of even in the skin color of a newborn child. You'll find there's a certain redness. And the child may later on turn out to be either black, brown, white, doesn't matter. Point is, in the newborn child, when you see, there's a phenomenal, that redness is there. It is no different from the redness if you ever have a chance and take a look at deep inside a lotus flower. Not the petal, but go beyond the petal and look at inside. Where the petal begins from inside, you will see there is a special color of red. And that red is what we are talking about. And that red is no different from the redness in the corner of our eye. If you really look at, you go in the mirror and turn around, and you will see that in the corner of the eye, there is an element of red. And in Bhagavan's case, it is so beautiful that redness is in Bhagavan's corner, in that eye. So it's called Lohitakshaha. And Lohitaksha Pratardanaha. Now, last class, the question was asked about the samharam, right, about the dissolution and all that. Like we saw it from the Manu Trashta, we said, Trashtaha, like last class we saw. That means one who dissolves things, one who makes things disappear at the right time, and then the time comes for it. But what about the whole creation? You know, different things appear and disappear in this created world. But the created world itself disappears, the universe itself disappears, and that gets absorbed back, dissolves back. And that time is called pralayam. And that happens at every 4.32 billion years. One remains latent for another 4.32 billion years, and before it appears again. This cycle keeps on going and going and going till as we saw earlier, when the Brahma's life ends and all that. This is a never-ending cycle that goes on. Now, the Bhagavan is the one who makes things disappear in the Pralayam Kalam also, who actually, when that time comes, he absorbs everything back into him. Not only the various small things that come and go, like a firefly appears and disappears, or like we appear and disappear, no, but the whole creation itself comes to a standstill and gets absorbed back in him. That Pralaya Kalam, that aspect, the effulgence of Bhagavan that is manifest, that does that, is Pratardanaha. Akrak yet saspat Krishno lohitaksha Pratardanaha prabhutas trika kuddhama prabhutaha. Prabhutaha. Bhutaha, Prabhutaha. One who is completely full of, putting it crude translation, but the actual meaning is a little bit different. Is one who is full of jnanam and aishwaryam. Jnanam. See, where does jnanam come from? It comes from the chit aspect of Bhagavan. Where does the chit aspect come from? The quest to know. It comes from the knowledge itself. Knowledge itself is Bhagavan. Aishwaryam itself is Bhagavan. There is no difference because Bhagavan is the Aishwaryam. That's the only Aishwaryam we need. Even though we classify Aishwaryams into the wealth into so many different classifications for our materialistic enjoyment, so Jnanam also is an Aishwaryam. And we call it Ashtalakshmi, so immediately you can picture there are 8 types of wealth that we relate to. But it is more than that. Everything that we live, every moment that we live is an Aishwaryam. That is a grace of Bhagavan. That Bhagavan is effulgent, that Swami is effulgent that way. That is Prabhutaha. And Trika Kuddhatma. Trika Kuddhama. See, Prabhuta Trika Kuddhama. It comes like that. Prabhutaha Trika Kuddhama. And in some versions, in the version you have, I'm not sure, it is written as Trika Kuddhama. So we will cover the meaning for both. Sankara talks about Trika Kuddhama. Now, Trika, the moment the 3 comes, you know there is something like a 3 involved. Interestingly, when we look at a materialistic world, the way we live, we know there is a gross element that we enjoy and we limit ourselves to that. And there is a subtle element and there is a subtlest aspect of it. If you look at the sky or the space versus the earth, right? As a classic example. We also know that the subtler thing is the higher up it goes. And we call that as the upper world, right? And then the middle world and the lower world, right? That's an intellectual understanding we have. But the one who is present in all the 3 worlds, whether it is the past, present, or the future, or the subtle to the grossest, right? And we also call it Uttaman, Madhaman, and Adhaman based upon our characteristic tendencies, right? How we conduct ourselves. So all these things, there are 3 different worlds. One who is present in all the 3 worlds without change is Trika Kuddhama, is what Sankara says. Now, Parasara Bhattar takes us to a different world itself, and it's so beautiful, and goes back to Purushasukta. And when you look at, you say, Swami, you are present everywhere, and you are appearing as everything. You are not only present, you are everything. We saw all that, Vishnu, Vishnu, and all that. Or we mean to say that even a gigantic mountain, as well as a tiniest atom, is basically you? I don't understand it. How is it? It is called Tripada. Tripada is a word that Purusha uses. That means in 3 aspects, 3 parts. We have to be careful in making sure we understand this not in a arithmetic or a numerical fashion. It doesn't work that way. It only gives a different aspects of it. Okay? When we say Padam means translated as 1/4. But it is not 1/4 as in 25%. No, it is not. It is one aspect that manifests itself like that. How will you break, for example, the taste, the saltish taste in an ocean, in the sea water, into 4 parts? It is not possible, right? One part of it may appear as a water in the sea, right? But there are the other parts that are not manifest. It is like that. Same way it appears to prema, love also. When we show love to someone, one part of it appears in this manifested world. But there are 3 parts that remain unmanifest because Bhagavan's divine love is something that is beyond description. It can only be tasted and experienced Even then, we have not tasted it completely. It is not possible. So that aspect of it is Trika Kuddhama. Now, Parasara Bhattar further continues. When we say Aishwaryam in the previous Namam, right? Bhagavan is Jnanam and Aishwaryam and all that, right? We saw that. And in Prabhutaha. So he enjoys it along the same way. Aishwaryam, our elders give it as 6 different aspects. Jnanam, Shakti, Balam, Aishwaryam, Viryam, Tejas. Now, these 6 are normally combined into groups of 2. So you have 3 groups. Jnanam, Shakti, Balam, Aishwaryam, Viryam, Tejas. Now, these groups of 3, groups of 2 and the 3 groups of 2 each, that is Trika Kuddhama. Now, another name, another explanation that Parasara Bhattar gives us is Trika Kuddhama. That means Trika Kuddhama. Trika Kuddhama is 3 pairs of names. Each pair has got 2 names. That's what it means. Then he also enjoys it as Varaha Avataram itself. He says, Trika Kuddhama. Trika Kud means, when you have the headdress that you have, and we call that as Kondai in Tamil, right? And one who has got 3 of those types of head dressings, right? 3 Kondai has. Dhama means one who is effulgent, and this denotes Varaha Avatar. That's what Parasara Bhattar says. So Prabhuta Trika Kuddhama Pavitram Mangalam Param. Pavitram. Immediately we all know. Everything that purifies on a physical basis, we know that if our countertop is dirty, we put some water in it and wipe it, the dirt goes away. We don't think twice about it. Did the water actually clean it? Think for a second. Scientifically, we can say that the dirt or whatever it is dissolved in water. We say that. But what is it that makes it dissolve? So we call it as purifying, removing the dirt. The essence of Bhagavan that is shining there. That is because Bhagavan is Pavitram. He is purity itself. Anything that comes in contact with Bhagavan will get purified. Will get all the impurities will get pulverized. Now I will look at this physically. Anything that you put in fire becomes an ash, right? All the things that differ, whatever forms it may have, you put it in fire, ultimately you become ash. So that we call it as pulverizing physically, reducing it to one stage. Now that's the reason we put vibhuti on our forehead, to tell us that all these are temporary and it's going to vanish one day. That's a reminder of that. Now, the same way, what happens to our mental thoughts and wrong thoughts that we have, things that don't give us happiness, what happened to the 6 enemies we have, they also have to get pulverized and removed, right? And that aspect of removing them, we call it as purification. And that purification can be done only by something that is pure. Only a pure thing can remove the impurity in others, isn't it? Not only the essence, the purity itself, that is Pavitram, that itself, that is Bhagavan. And that is nothing but Prema. Prema is the one that's the strongest and the mightiest thing that can ever be, that can cure anything and everything. And that aspect of Bhagavan, that Pavitram, that removes all impurities, that is Pavitram. That's the same thing that removes us and protects us from all types of fear that we have. Fear comes why? Because of desire, and I separate myself from purity. Fear comes only because of impurities. A person who is absolutely pure will have no fear at all. As you know, one short anecdote I will share with you that occurs to me to share. One Saint Tyagaraja was traveling through the forest, and he was walking, and he was being carried on a palanquin, and all of a sudden his disciples came to him and said, Swami, we have this particular forest has got lots of robbers and thieves in this, and we're now going through this at the night time. And Raja answered very, very easily and very immediately. He said, let them come. What do we have that we have to be worried about? I have Ramanam. Because he didn't know that his disciples were carrying something that of material value even with them. He was so engrossed in the name of Rama all the time that he had absolutely no fear. And what is it that gives you, that removes all the fear and gives you abhayam, the abhaya hastam that we see in the temples and all that? That is pavitram, removes all fears. Now, the same in the Vaishnavite Sampradayam, Parasara Bhattar enjoys this. Once I do the sadhana that is prescribed, and I begin to see Bhagavan with my inner eye, and I touch him and I taste him, touch his lotus feet, and stay there all the time, looking engrossed in his prasanna vadanam, right? When I do that, what does Bhagavan do in return? Because he's got, again, this is something we ascribe to Bhagavan. He is gunatitaya, beyond all the gunas, but we enjoy by assigning some gunas to him and revel in that. These are all six gunas we saw earlier: Jnanam, Shakti, Balam, Aiswaryam, Viryam, Tejas. Bhagavan with all these 6 gunas, and completely in bliss, he gives anandam to these Nitya Suris, to his devotees, and that aspect is pavitram. So, pavitram, mangalam, param. They're just not an ordinary mangalam. It's a param. It's a supreme most. And so I engage in dhyanam, and what do I get in return? I get peace. I get first calmness and peace, and that peace is immediately, it doesn't follow. It's actually simultaneously with bliss, with a sense of happiness that you cannot experience in this world. Who's the one who's gracing us and showering us that aspect, that mangalam, that envelops us, right? Or that manifests and reveals itself. It is always it's always enveloping us, but I'm ignorant of it. But it reveals itself and removes the ignorance I have and reveals itself to me. That is mangalam, param mangalam. Akshak yasvatvata krishno lohitaksha pratardhanah prabhuta trika kuddhama pavitram mangalam param. Ishana pranada prano jeshta shreshta prajapatihi hiranyagarbho bhugarbho madhavo madhusudanaha. Ishana pranada prano. Ishanaha pranadaha pranaha. Ishanaha. This whole our life, the universe, whatever we do, we know that we are not independent. We know internally very much the truth that none of us can deny, is that things are not in our control. However, I must try, whether it's a project that I manage, whether it's a car I drive or ask my child to behave in a certain way, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, and what is going to happen next moment, what is going to happen tomorrow, none of it is in our control. Even in spite of that, we try to control things, and that is the height of folly and ignorance. That's a phenomenally amusing thing that's taking place. But so who's the one who's controlling it? Under whose control? Everything is there, as Swami says. Not even a dot can move without Bhagavan's will. Not even a leaf can fall. The distant star can shine without Rama's will. Everything takes place exactly according to the way Bhagavan wills. He's the one who controls this whole cosmos. Therefore, the cosmos does not become chaotic. It is not chaos. Everything has got an order to it, and it follows that inviolable rule and law. It cannot stray this way or that way. This is a very important thing. And Bhagavan is the one who's controlling everything. Everything is in his control. That is Ishanaha. Ishanaha. Isha means the Lord, the true master. He is the one. Please, we should never forget that. Never forget that. That is why whatever happens is only with Bhagavan's grace, including this class that is being conducted. Okay? Ishanaha. One who controls everything that is in the created world. Same thing, all the things that move and do not move, and the grahastha, people like us who are engaged in the household activities, and then there are people who are engaging themselves, performing sadhanas and becoming sannyasis, and people like Kanchi Paramacharya and all that, or Kanchi Paramacharya, Ramana Maharishi, doesn't matter. So many devotees have come and gone, but all those people, they are very pure. We know the tejas, as you get involved in sadhana and do the sense control and the mind control and all that, you become actually pure, and more power from within reveals itself. But that is kind of, it happens and appears and disappears. It is not permanent. But Bhagavan's power is constant, total, and always present. That is Ishanaha. Pranadaha. Pranadaha. Daha means to give. Pranan. One who gives Pranan. Pranan itself is an obstacle to achieving freedom. Please remember that. That's a final prayer in Sri Rudram. When we recite Rudram, those of you who do, the very final prayer is, remove me from the knot of prana. It itself is a knot that has to be removed. And giving this pranan, which we call as a life force, on a physical basis, that is this very small amount of air that we breathe out. We call it pranan. But what is it that is prompting us to breathe out? Therefore, immediately another prompting comes in where we breathe in. This is not in our control, as you know, right? And that element is the life force. It is not just the amount of air. Amount of air is just a tool, a mechanism, a vehicle to give us oxygen and purify the blood, which in turn turns around and makes all the various organs operate and all that. Those are all a result of something else. The primary active force there is this impulse, which we call as the life force, that kicks that little bit of air out. Therefore, the whole process starts of breathing in, breathing out, and all that. That aspect we call as a life force, and don't mistake it with the air that's going out. It's a life force that makes it happen. That is pranadaha. Bhagavan gives us that, right? Makes it happen. Then he decides it is enough for this body to operate, so he discards it. Then we stop functioning, and we call it death, and etc., etc. That Pranadaha, by doing this, he makes various happenings, various embodiments function. And why does he make this function? What is the basic reason why all this happens? We covered that earlier. But it is because to give love and to receive love, to share the love that each one of us is the only reason all our bodies have life in them. That's the only reason it is given. But Pranadaha, the one who has given this life force to these various bodies, he not only creates the bodies through the Panchabhutangal, but he also makes it function through the Pranan. And we call, to put it in a very simple manner, we are here to serve, and to serve. And, Manava Seva is Madhava Seva, that you would have heard that. Service to mankind is service to God. And how do you serve? Only by sharing your love. And that can take place in different forms. You can feed the hungry, you can give a consoling word to the person who is suffering mentally. There's so many things we can do. Fulfill the need of everyone around. That is basically service. And doing that with the attitude that it is a worship and offering to Bhagavan himself, the Bhagavan who is present in that person, and without the feeling and without getting arrogant or egoistic in the process that I am doing something. So all those are important. That's the reason Pranadaha is there. Okay, that aspect of Bhagavan who has given us this life force, who's operating and manifesting himself in the form of this life force. That is Pranadaha. Ishana Pranada Prano. Now, Pranaha, we will take it up with Swami's grace in the next session. Pranadaha reminds me of one other thing that I want to share with you. And this is the Sahasranamam can be an academic exercise, can be an intellectual exercise, and gives us a feeling of a sense of satisfaction when we hear Bhagavan's name, because Bhagavan's names are all very powerful. Whatever name that we talk about, even the limited way we experience it, it gives us happiness only. Right? It removes all of our sadness. That moment we are very happy. We are calm and we feel protected, the assurance. There are so many things that take place. And each one is also an aspect of our own self. Please remember that it is not outside. It's our own self which we have to manifest. One simple way to begin experiencing Bhagavan on our daily life, every moment, is one of the simplest way. Okay, it's not through puja and going to temple and none of those. It is a very simple way which pleases Bhagavan the most, even more so than reciting Bhagavan's name. Okay, it's in Rama's name and all that we say, in Nama Sankirtanam, more than all that, what pleases Bhagavan the most, the simplest one, is to serve. Serve and serve and serve. For service. This is most important. And let me translate that, even put it down even one more part into it, make it into the simplest way possible. There are only two types of people in this world. Not man and woman. No. Not rich and poor. No, not those. There are givers and there are takers. Most people are takers, and that is out of selfishness. The people who actually give, and give readily and wholeheartedly, they are the people who serve. That it could be giving the money you have to somebody, giving the knowledge you have to somebody, giving the physical strength you have to serve something else, somebody else, or giving the time you have. But that has to fulfill the needy. There's no point in feeding food to somebody who's already well fed or who's already very rich. No. The service is an action that you take with the right attitude of worship to fulfill the need of fellow human beings. So, givers and takers. So, I request each one of you to evaluate whether you are a giver or a taker. Even in these sessions, with what attitude do I come and participate in this session? Do I come there in order to take something, or I'm here to give something to everybody who is present in the class. When I do the paradigm shift, believe me, what is known as and what our elders call as Vinayam will automatically set in. Then the emails that you send out, the information you send out, they all will take a different tone, an entirely different tone. You will then get that step that much closer to the Bhagavan, to Swami who is present within you. With that, I will close today. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.